So far we have covered combat log, overview, and directional and prop scanners. In this video I will talk about the remaining UI elements, specifically about some of the features that are not as well known. So we will start with a navigation panel. This one is pretty straightforward. You can use a navigation panel or you can use a circular menu. I personally prefer the navigation panel. One thing that is not that well known is the default orbit and default keep-it ranges. So as you probably know, you can set up the default orbit or default keep-it range, and it's all nice. The problem is that these settings are ship type specific. So they are not ship specific, they are ship type specific. And why is that a problem? Well, let's say you set a 20 kilometer orbit for a kite in Tristan, and when you switch into a Brolin or Newton Tristan, and the default orbit will stay at 20 plus kilometers. So in faction warfare, this is actually a pretty common problem because you constantly cycle between different ships and often between the same ship but with different fits. So you should have a habit of checking what's the default orbit and what's the default keep-it range before you engage in a fight, because you may set it to something that's not suitable for a specific ship or fit combination. Second thing I want to talk about is the drone management. So the drone management should primarily be hotkeyed. You can hotkey launch drones even. So I have a hotkey on L, and to do that you need to set up the group of drones that is favored for launching. So you can unmark or you can mark them. And after that, you can simply click the hotkey and the drones will launch. And then you can recall them back. Now, this is not super useful, I found. It's kind of nice, but because it's so easy to launch the drones just by dragging them out of a drone window, you probably save a couple of milliseconds, but not that much. However, the recall drones and aggress drones especially definitely should be on hotkey. So for me, these are both hotkeyed, so I'm recalling the drones with a hotkey now. And especially aggressing drones should be on the hotkey because drones are quite dumb, and especially if you fight against a kiting ship, the drones will occasionally lose aggro and you need to re-aggro them. And with a hotkey, it's just as simple as clicking a button. And if you are not using the hotkey, you will need to find this button, and it can be quite annoying to move your mouse somewhere where you don't need your mouse. So just set up the hotkeys, and the drones should really, all the drone management should be in the hotkey. Should be binded to the hotkey. One lesser known feature is that you can recall a single drone or you can aggress a single drone. Recalling a single drone can be useful when you fight against a ship that's targeting your drones and you don't want to recall the entire pack. For example, when you are in a kiting ship, you don't want to just lose the entire DPS from the drones, you want to just recall a single drone. And you can do that by selecting a drone and dragging it back into the drone bay. And then the second drone will stay in space, and the drone that you told to go back will go back to drone bay. This is not possible to do with a hotkey. This is only doable with manual clicking. Next, very briefly, is the target management. So many people don't know what you can actually move your target lists like this, and you can place it anywhere you want on the screen. I prefer to have my target somewhere near the overview. And you can also make it vertical or horizontal. For example, here will become horizontal arrangement, or you can do vertical arrangement. This depends on how much screen space do you have. I prefer usually vertical arrangement because this section of screen is rarely useful, but this section I think is more useful usually. So I find this one a bit more practical, but again, this is entirely up to you. So next is locations. This is a bit of a UI that's not really visible by default, and you need to know how to actually turn it on. So why is it important to have locations somewhere visible? For example, let's say you want to warp somewhere and you need to right click when you need to go to locations, when you need to select from a specific folder. You may have a couple of folders here, when you need to mouse drag on the right, and when you need to select what you want to do with location, like warp or approach. And this is all taking a lot of time. And when you can misclick, and especially in a hectic PvP situation. And this is just not an efficient way to do it. The efficient way to do it is to use like a special locations window. If you don't have it, so let's say I will close it. You go to the hamburger menu, when you go to personal, when you go to locations, and when you click open in window, and then you can resize and move it somewhere where you want it to be. And now every time you want to do something with a location, it's as simple as just right clicking and selecting the action that you want to do, which is like massively faster when fiddling with the drop down menus. And the final bit of a UI for this video is the compact cargo hold. Compact cargo hold is important to keep track of your consumables, for example, drugs, so that you don't forget to use your drugs when you need to. And usually when you open up your cargo hold, you click here and it looks like this. So what you do is that you disable sidebar and you enable compact mode, and after that you can move it somewhere convenient. I keep it usually just above my local and locations, and here I can very easily see what I have in my cargo hold, what's available, what I need to use, what are the remaining consumables, and so on.